You're listening to Packers Talk Network.
PackersTalk.com. Do you want to experience the thrill of a Packers game at Lambeau Field? If so, be sure to get your game ticket from the longtime trusted source in Wisconsin, Ticket King. Visit their locations in Milwaukee and Green Bay, or just go to their website, theticketking.com. Again, that's theticketking.com.
Throws it up in the air, says a prayer, and Jayme says, oh, please! What a cat! That's insane!
You're listening to the best Packer radio show on the internet.
Cheesehead Radio.
Reach the eye.
Guess who's back? So I think that's the logical explanation.
Let's just, say that didn't happen.
It was a return to greatness. It was a return to form.
It's crazy. And he just kind of flew under the radar.
Get this out there so I sound good on Cheesehead Radio.
Yeah.
No negativity allowed, sir.
So I think that's actually going to be really exciting to watch. I don't think there's anything positive we can say. There's a lot.
Oh, you were looking for positive.
Yeah.
I guess that's what I meant. Positive, I think. Good evening, Packer fans, and welcome to another installment of Cheesehead Radio. We're here tonight to break down the Packers-Vikings game and take a little look ahead at the upcoming game against the Lions. Your hosts tonight are the ever-flummoxed C.D. Angeli of PackersTalk.com and Cheesehead TV, the glue that holds our show together, Jayme Snowden of Cheesehead TV, your resident wise-ass, Jersey Al of Cheesehead TV and Packers Talk. Not with us tonight is the delightful Michelle Bruton, who is at a Cubs game with her employer on a company outing. So we will see her in another week or two. But for tonight, our guest will be the return visit of Milwaukee-born Peter Bukowski, a freelance writer formerly of SI.com and now co-host of the Too Deep NFL podcast. Sponsoring Packers Talk Network this year are the fine folks at Ticket King. You can check out their website at theticketking.com. And special deal for all you Cheesehead Radio and Packers Talk listeners. If you're looking to purchase Packers tickets, you can now get a 10% discount at Ticket King by using the discount code Packers Talk. This is a limited time offer. Runs from now through the Packers game against the Giants. So with 4 home games coming up, stock up on your Packers tickets now and save a bunch of money. So use the discount code PackersTalk at theticketking.com. That takes care of the introductions, and now it's time for some news.
Packers News.
The Packers had the pleasure of being the first opposing team to open an account at the Vikings' new U.S. Bank Stadium on Sunday night. However, it appears their check bounced due to insufficient ability to find their offense.
That was really clever. Anyway, sorry. Yes, the Vikings took Aaron Rodgers' checks and check downs and rejected them, refusing to let them be cashed in for offensive points. I can't believe I'm reading this. The Packers' so-called dynamic offense was voided by the Vikings defense, sending them back to Green Bay with a negative balance for the night.
Well, that's quite enough with the bank funds. I'm sure CD will agree. But one still can't help but wonder what has happened to the all-pro quarterback we used to know. Is it him? Is it the scheme? Is it the receivers? We'll delve into all those questions a bit later on.
Now, on the other side of the ball, the Packers' defense played well but could not find a way to control Stephon Diggs. Now, Diggs's 9 receptions went for an average of 20 yards per play. All the other Vikings offensive plays combined averaged only 2 yards per play.
Oh, right. After the game, there were plenty of what's wrong with the offense questions posed to both Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers. Both were understandably a bit testy about it, while still maintaining it's a matter of better execution more than anything else.
Execution. Got to clean that up. That continued right through today's press conferences. Now, Rodgers, for his part, commented on the predictability of the beat writers' questions about a lack of offense. McCarthy commented on sticking to the process at least 3 times and how the process will lead them all to success. So basically, no real answers.
Several new players popped up on the injury report today. Trey Guion has a sprained MCL and may be able to return after the bye week. Morgan Burnett has a hamstring injury, and Clay Matthews is battling both an ankle and a hamstring injury. Returning from previous injuries to practice today were Jayme Elliott, Chris Banjo, and Josh Hawkins.
The Packers began a highly unusual stretch of 5 straight weeks at home. Sunday's game against the Lions, an early bye week, and then 3 more home games. It sounds like the perfect opportunity to revel in that home cooking and get on the right track for the rest of the season.
And that was your Packers News of the Week. Now it's time for your
Packer Tweets from Packer Tweets.
Okay, when the Vikings' Adrian Peterson injured his knee on Sunday night, we were entertained to endless shots of him painfully being helped across the field, to the sideline, through the tunnel, and through endless labyrinths of hallways in the new stadium, including through a restaurant. NFL.com's Ian Kenyon echoes what we were all thinking. Adrian Peterson's been hopping around the stadium for 10 minutes. Don't they have a cart?
Guess that money was reallocated while Bird Killer Stadium was constructed. Our good friend, the Packer Ranter, echoing Mark McCarthy's intrepid observation that the running game might have been neglected the first 2 weeks of the season, stated, "We're hearing reports that Eddie Lacy is starting to fall out of shape again due to his illogically small workload."
As if having the final drive of the game ending in an Aaron Rodgers interception wasn't enough to uncomfortably remind us of a certain former Packer quarterback past his prime, Viking commentator Dan Cole, at Common Man K-Fan, just ripped the Band-Aid off by saying, "Rodgers is done. Green Bay should never have turned their back on Favre. He would still be playing." Okay.
Yes, but with all the doom and gloom over the possible demise of Aaron Rodgers' career, Jason will comfort us with the wry sense of humor we've grown to love from number 12. Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers tells Lions media he won't do Dancing with the Stars, saying, "At least keep my dancing skills as private as possible." Lack of skills.
Well, Aaron, if you can apply the dancing limitation to the backfield, too, we'd all be a little happier. And that was definitely this week's Cheesehead Radio Tweet of the Week.
Tweet of the Week.
I think that Dan
really
Cole guy should have got Tweet of the Week, personally.
You think so?
Yeah, that is just so insane that deserves to be.
I can't give it to a Viking guy. I can't give him the Tweet of the Week.
All right, I'll go with that. But it's certainly worthy.
You just looked at it, it's like, oh my gosh, are we still there? Well, then you realize it's a Viking guy. Yeah. All right, well, last week, guys, I'm pretty sure, Jersey Al, you predicted a Packers win.
Yeah, I did.
Jayme, if you were here, you would have predicted a Packers win.
Yes, and I did on our Cheesehead TV Packers prediction.
Okay.
They should have won.
I predicted a Packers win. They didn't win. What the heck is going on?
They didn't.
What the heck is going on?
Not a lot on offense. That's what's going on. I liked in the news, and I almost interjected when Rodgers says his quote was, "No offense, but you guys are predictable." And I reworked all the words to say, "No, you guys, our offense is predictable." Because that's really what he should have said at that point, because it is.
Yeah, I saw that. Same words, just rearranged and much more pertinent meaning, in my opinion.
And an actual answer.
Yeah.
Hey, our offense is becoming too predictable. We need to work on shaking that up. We're going to start doing that these coming weeks. Okay, there, answer.
What would the beat writers do? They'd sit there with their mouths open. What? Did you give us an answer? What do we do now?
Just write.
Where do we go from here? Are we done?
Just write Rodgers' quote and then write the letters. Okay.
Yeah, I really feel sorry for those guys having to cover the Packers. Let's tell you, it is not an easy job.
No.
What they get out of the coaches and the players there, and certainly they get nothing out of the GM as well. So it is not an easy job for them. They got to work hard. So you got to respect them, I think, more than beat writers for other teams, because they got to work twice as hard.
Yes.
But anyway, back to QB1.
Yeah, I remember I was watching the Lions game this weekend, and they had a statistic up. I don't know if you guys saw it if you're watching the Lions game, about the quarterbacks since I can't remember what year who've had the most fourth quarter comebacks. And of course, Matthew Stafford was on the list, which is why he was up near the top. I think he had like 19 of them or something. And I was kind of thinking about that as you reflect on the game and Aaron Rodgers and how he's never really been that reputation of the fourth quarter comeback quarterback. And then, of course, you look at the interception and you look at the fumbles, the ridiculous fumbles, something that's never been an issue. And maybe just some of the decision-making and some of the scrambling around. And I don't know, Dr. Bracco and Dr. Snowden, you got a diagnosis on this guy? What's going on?
Make yourself comfortable, first of all.
Okay, hang on.
I'm going to flip my pillow behind me. Okay.
All right. Aaron Rodgers, right? Aaron Rodgers, our all-pro quarterback, Super Bowl winning quarterback. It seems to me that he's kind of gotten away a little bit from what made him good or so great. And he kind of developed a bad habit because he had so much success doing this bad habit, which is basically running around sometimes a lot more than he needs to. And what you see out of him now, as you watch back some of these plays and you kind of look at what's going on with the wide receivers and who he's looking at and who's open and who isn't, you see that he's almost, I don't know if it's my perception or what, but it seems like he's looking for excuses to extend plays and to wait for that perfect pass or that long downfield completion when, he could just take a simple 5 to 8 yard gain here, another one there, and be more of a West Coast offense type quarterback. And he referenced West Coast offense being their system in his interview today, so I'm sure that's what he feels that he is. But I feel like he's kind of trying to do too much, and maybe it's got that way because of last year and all the struggles. And but I don't blame him for when it started. I kind of blame the lack of adjustments made in the offensive scheme by McCarthy and executed by Rodgers, obviously. But the last year, you just keep running the same isolation routes with the wide receivers over and over and over again, and you don't try different things. I think this is what's happened. Rodgers looked to, all right, well, they're not open. I got to extend this. I got to wait till somebody gets open. And he got into that more of a sandlot type play. I know I'm kind of rambling here, but in any case, I think bringing it all back a little bit. I mean, I saw several instances in last week's game where I thought he bailed out of the pocket just way too soon, and had he stayed another second, he would have had receivers breaking open. So I think kind of that's what he has to do, is kind of be more willing to stand in there and maybe take a hit if necessary, but wait that extra second till that guy gets open and he completes a pass. But Jayme, how about you?
I definitely second a lot of what you said. I feel like something has happened in the last year where he seems to be relying too much on his ability to scramble, like you said, on his arm, not on the system, the plays, and the basic mechanics. And it feels like he's just gotten away from that. And, people keep saying, oh, well, if he would have played in preseason, this offense would be in sync, if that would have happened more. And I don't think it is, because I think he has the ability to get back to that. I just think it's more of the mental decision to not be as strict with that, strict with his footwork, strict with the mechanics, strict with the stuff that, I mean, he's such an accurate passer and such a gifted athlete, and the way that he got there is because I feel like he was just determined to work harder than everybody else instead of relying on just his talent. And I don't want to say he's relying just on his talent now, but I feel like, because I don't know how hard he works, but it feels like he just gets a little lax sometimes in the structure that he should be following. And it's not all his fault, because clearly there's I think some scheme issues and route running issues, and just the fact that I don't feel like we have a star wide receiver right now. But I feel like if he could tighten up a little bit, it would go a long way.
Yeah, I mean, that's part there is basically what I'm saying, is kind of bring it in a little bit. I mean, they took a lot of shots downfield last game, And yeah, I know maybe you think you got single coverage and you think you're going to beat some inexperienced defensive backs that the Vikings had, but it's it's when you take the shots too. You're you've got a 3rd and 5 deep in your own territory. In my playbook, you don't throw the ball 30 yards down the field. You look for a quick 7-8 yard route, quick turnaround, throw the pass, complete it, get a first down, and now you have 3 downs to play with. That's not the time to do it, and he does it all the time when I feel he should pay more attention to just keeping possession and keep moving the ball down the field. He's always looking for the big play, and sometimes the situation doesn't call for looking for the big play.
And I think what you said, it's so many of those big plays are just waiting for that star receiver to break out and make a play, and if they don't, it's not going to happen. But I think CD's got our guest ready, and we can delve into all the things that are wrong with Aaron Rodgers in this offense with Peter.
Sounds good.
Tonight's special guest from the Too Deep NFL podcast, Peter Bukowski.
Everybody cha-cha.
All right.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. Peter, thank you very much for joining us tonight here. Good to have you back. Thank you very much.
It's good to be back.
Good.
Feels good.
Yeah, because we're all in panic mode right now.
We need somebody to bring us down.
Oh, wow.
Are you the right? Are you the right person, or are you just gonna kind of charge us up?
I guess
it's okay.
Let's see.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's start out with the most obvious question, and it's of course about Mr. Aaron Rodgers. Is now looking at a stretch of 14 games with a passer rating below 100. This is not Aaron Rodgers in his prime. So I guess the question is this just a natural step down? He's approaching his 33rd birthday. Is he just past his prime and this is what happens to people? Or is there something else, a physical, mental issue that's just inhibiting his decision-making and maybe even his accuracy?
Well, look, I think the answer to your question is complex. Unfortunately, there is no easy answer, and there was a great article on The Ringer today. If people haven't seen it, they should check it out, that Danny Kelly wrote about the things that are plaguing this offense and things that are plaguing Aaron Rodgers. I think there's a couple things at play here, and the first is that the receiving core just isn't what we thought it was, and Jordy Nelson has not looked like prime Jordy Nelson, and he's not getting open the way that we're used to seeing him. Might he? Sure, but he's not right now. And the reality is he may never. He's now in his 30s, recovering obviously from the ACL. Now, if he's 80% of what he used to be, he can still be a useful player. So that's one part of it. The other part is Aaron Rodgers last year had to do a lot himself, right? That's not news. No Jordy Nelson, fat Eddie Lacy. There were myriad problems along the offensive line. He had to do a lot by himself, and I think it translated into a lot of issues with his mechanics. He did not play within the confines of the offense, and that is fine for Aaron Rodgers sometimes. He is at his best when he's not playing within the confines of the offense, when he's extending plays and creating. But what this offense has to be able to do is be on schedule and has to be able to create big plays organically. They're not able to do that right now. And Rodgers, and this has been now, I think, well-worn territory with him, he is bailing, and he's seeing ghosts, and he's not trusting what he's seeing. It's almost like he's a young quarterback that needs to be retrained. And we saw this, if you're a Packer fan, this is a familiar storyline because we saw Brett Favre go through this in the late 90s and early 2000s. He went from being the 3-time MVP to throwing 21 interceptions in the matter of a season. So it can fall off quickly if it's not monitored closely. And that is where you start to wonder, okay, is there a coaching breakdown? Is he not being coached in the right way? Is he not being pushed in the right way? And that's, I think, the final part of this is the coaching. The offense has been bland. I don't understand why you have 7 receivers on the roster and you can't put 4 out there at one time and just say go. I don't understand why you can't be more creative and say, okay, we're going to be an execution-based offense most of the time, but every once in a while we saw them do it at the goal line. Let's create a play to get Jordy Nelson open for a touchdown. Let's get Trevor Davis open on a crossing route. Okay, we did it. Now Aaron Rodgers didn't get him the ball. So there's some fixable parts to all of this, but I don't think I'm not ready to say, all right, this is just who Aaron Rodgers is at this point, because we've seen quarterbacks go through this before. Kurt Warner did it. Brett Favre did it, obviously, and they got back to that elite level. But there are other things, surrounding factors that need to change, and there are factors, obviously, that Aaron needs to change.
All right, thank you. Jayme?
Okay, Peter, the Packers had C.J. Spiller in this week to work out, but they haven't signed him yet. With 52 men on the roster, they have the space. Do you think they should sign Spiller? What do you think he would add to the offense? And if not Spiller, what other position or players should the Packers think about for that last spot?
Randy Moss is available? No, I'm just kidding. I like the Spiller idea. I know that some people were opposed to it, in part because Green Bay was somewhat effective running the ball against Minnesota. At least Eddie Lacy was, and they didn't seem to stick with it for whatever reason. I like the idea of playing 11 personnel, 3 wide receivers, a tight end, and a running back, with C.J. Spiller as the running back, because you could put Jared Cook as an H-back and you can play power football, or you could go 5 wide and spread everyone out and make the defense declare its intentions. And this is part of the problem. This goes to the earlier point that I was making, and that is the Packers, and Aaron Rodgers himself said this, they can be a little predictable because of the formations and because of the personnel groupings that they like to use. But so if you're going to spread everyone out, at the very least, you're going to declare your intentions as a defense. And now Rodgers gets to see, okay, we know they're in man, we know they're in zone, whatever the case is, and he can pick a matchup, and he can exploit that. And when he was most effective last night was when the Vikings decided to blitz him, because it's an easy decision. He's got to pull the trigger. And that's, I think, what the Green Bay offense needs to become, is it needs to be more quick decisions and get Rodgers in a rhythm, and that's when you can create big plays down the field, because I don't think it would take much to get Rodgers back on track in terms of trusting what he's seeing and having trust in the offense. I don't think he trusts the guys around him yet, and frankly, he shouldn't. But you have to get to a certain level. I think Spiller would give them a dynamic player in the passing game and the running game that they don't currently have. But at the same time, they obviously see someone like Ty Montgomery as a hybrid player, someone they can put in the backfield and someone they can split out wide. I don't think you say, okay, we have Lacy and Stark, so why sign Spiller? I think we say, we have Ty Montgomery, why sign Spiller? And let's use him. I think there are guys on this team that can be a spark for this offense in the same way that Spiller could be. We just aren't seeing them get opportunities to do it.
Well, and just following up, going on that, I mean, I don't think, how many snaps did Montgomery play in the offense this weekend? I think
it's fewer than 5.
Yeah. So I don't understand. He can be that hybrid player. He can put such a dynamic wrinkle in this offense, and I just don't understand why they're not. It's not even like he's, getting a chance of messing it up. He's not even getting a chance.
Right. I keep going back to the offense, the way that it looked against New England 2 years ago. And it was essentially the same group of guys, only you add Jared Cook. And the way they were the game plan they had was so dynamic. And that was the first time we saw Montgomery and Cobb in the backfield at the same time. And that caused so many problems for the Patriots. And they mixed the formations and the plays together. They didn't hit big plays down the field. Jordy Nelson took a slant for 6. Devontae Adams had a huge game, and Rodgers threw that great touchdown to Richard Rodgers. But they didn't generate huge chunk plays. They didn't have a 70-yard touchdown. They were methodical and meticulous in that game. And if Devontae Adams had caught the ball as he was running wide open into the end zone, they win that game by 2 touchdowns. So I know that they can do it. I think something Rodgers said after both games now is, this is an offense without an identity. And so what do they do well? And I don't know that they're being given the opportunity to do anything well. And that's on the coaches. The players have to do what the players have to do. But if you watch the All-22, guys are open. Receivers are open. Rodgers has got to get them the ball. I think part of the problem is, and this is something that Mike Lombardi said on Bill Simmons' podcast last week, there's a difference between calling plays and running an offense. And when this offense is at its best, it is a cohesive system. And right now it feels like they're running plays, like it's packages, it's guys here, it's guys there. They're not running an offense. And maybe that is part of the up tempo. Maybe they would be better suited shuttling guys in and out, changing the personnel, and making things different for the defense, because then they're less predictable and they can do things that build on one another. They had a great play off the bubble screen with the fake bubble and the slant to Cobb. That's a great play, and you can only run that if you run the bubble first. Those are the kinds of things that this offense can do that they're just not doing. Now, it's early.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, it is.
Al?
Yeah, Peter, Rodgers went to great lengths today in today's locker room interview to make it perfectly clear he and the other players couldn't care less about outside opinions. He was
fired up.
Well, he gave a very long and kind of animated answer to a Jason Wilde question, and the more he spoke, the more it seemed evident to me he certainly had paid some attention to what was being said and maybe was a little sensitive about it.
Yeah, don't you love that when players say, I'm not paying attention to what is being said, and then sound pissed off about what's being said?
Yeah. I mean, if you say that and stop, okay, I might believe you, but then you go on and on about it. So I guess you're in the same boat as me. You didn't buy what he was selling, did you?
Well, here's what I buy. He's pissed off. And that's what I think Packer fans should want to see. He should be pissed off. There's nothing worse. If you're a Wisconsin sports fan and you remember Ned Yost and you remember him saying things like, Jeff Suppan would get shelled and he would say things like, I thought Sup pitched pretty well. And as a fan, you're going, are you kidding me? And so I think as a fan, a lot of times we get annoyed. We hear coaches say, we're close. We're going to trust the process. We're just going to keep doing it. We want people to be angry that things aren't going better. We want them to say, we're going to make changes, we're going to fix these, we're going to do X, Y, Z. Now, he didn't say that, but it's clearly apparent to him and this offense what's being said, and he takes those things personally. He always has. It's part of what drives him. It's part of what makes him great. The only concern you might have is this exacerbates the problem, and now he's going to bail sooner on plays and try and create down the field, hold the ball longer, and we're going to have problems. He's always, even at his peak, even 2011, even 2014, 2010, when they won the Super Bowl, he was the kind of player that didn't like to take the underneath routes because he wanted to let the plays develop down the field. And so if you're going to have a concern over this attitude, and I mostly don't, I mostly think it's great, because all I can think of is the shish game from Houston, because that's what a pissed off Aaron Rodgers plays like. I don't know if this version of Aaron Rodgers can get to that level, but that's what would happen this weekend. If Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers, and I think he is, then this weekend he goes out and has one of those 24 of 30 for 340 yards and 4 touchdown days, and he's done by the third quarter. That's the kind of thing that he does and could do because the Lions are not at full strength. They're injured, and frankly, I just don't think they're a very good football team. This has to be a statement game for this offense. And from what the way Rodgers acted, that's the demeanor that I want to see if I'm a fan and my offense is struggling.
Yep. CD?
Well, let's stay on this a little bit. You're scaring me a little bit with your Rodgers talk, so let's just really get down in the mud right now.
All right.
Mike McCarthy came out this week and he boldly stated he's never trusted a quarterback more than Aaron Rodgers. And he took the blame. McCarthy took the blame for the 4th and 2 call where they didn't go for the field goal. Now, my impression of that was maybe they went out there and Aaron tried to draw him off sides, and if you get him off sides, great. If you see something, go ahead. And I kind of thought that might have been a Rodgers thing, that he said, I see something, we're going to go for it, and they didn't. But McCarthy took the blame. Now,
well, that's what you want your head coach to do, I think, in a situation like that, right?
Oh, and absolutely. But I'm also thinking about those visible cracks we had last season between the coach and the quarterback. And I guess I'm kind of looking, what's going on here? Is this authentic, or do you think there's still some steam under the surface going on?
Well, look, conflict is not necessarily bad.
No, it is not.
Tom Brady and Bill O'Brien famously got into it on the sidelines, and a couple times. And Bill O'Brien is a hell of a coach, in my opinion. I thought he was great at Penn State, and I think he's done an excellent job with the Houston Texans. He can coach offense, and he has respect of his players. Just because you don't always agree or just because you get in arguments doesn't mean that can't be productive. Those are two guys who are competitors. This is sort of like a marriage, right? If there's no fighting, if you're just indifferent to the presence of one another, that's a bigger problem. And so, I can't say with any sort of level of certainty that there's not residual issues here. I think Rodgers definitely has his guys. I think he didn't want McCarthy to take back the play calling because he felt like that was something that his guy had earned the opportunity to do. But look, McCarthy's the head coach. And I don't think Rodgers is the kind of guy who's going to go out there and sabotage the team to show the coach up. That's just not, I don't think that's who he is. So as far as that's concerned, look, Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy have been doing this long enough that they know how to act professionally, even though they may not like each other sometimes. And that's just how it goes. They're both professionals. They're both some of the best at their position in football. And so you expect them to just sort of handle it in a professional manner. If there starts to be reporting that that's not happening and there's serious issues there, I'll believe that too. I don't think that's the kind of thing you could keep a secret.
All right, fair enough. Jayme?
Okay, Peter, I'm going to completely change sides of the ball here, not even go to defense. I'm going to special teams. Is the punter lasting the entire season? Is he on a short leash? I mean, that's been some difficult punts to watch.
Yeah, it's weird because he punted so well in the preseason. And the first game, it was sort of like, wait, they cut Maste, and who is this new guy? And then he went out and just like drilled every punt. So it's a little bizarre. I don't know if he's going to – punters are disposable. And I don't know where you guys fall on Packers Twitter of the, Mason Crosby's holder is important. I frankly think that's ridiculous. Holding is not that hard. It's not rocket science. You should be able to do it in a practice or two. You should be able to figure it out. So I'm not worried about that. Get the best guy you can. And if that's not the guy on your roster, go get someone else. What I don't understand is when people do that with kickers, because I think the psyche of a kicker is much more fragile, and frankly, the importance of what they're doing is much greater than what a punter is doing. That being said, the punts have not been great, but the coverage has been good, and I think generally Packer fans should be pleased with the special teams unit as a whole. Obviously, Montgomery's block was a big plus. That was a big play in that game. You'd like to have a punt returner back there that actually wants to return a kick once in a while. I think the last Packers punt returner to return a punt was Allen Rossum, but I could be wrong about that. So I think that's something that the Packers are going to do. I think the reason you saw the last 2 weeks the guy that went out there when Micah Hyde sort of was getting tired was Trevor Davis and not Jared Abbrederis, who by all accounts was the second punt returner. I think they want to get Trevor Davis on returns. I think they want to get Trevor Davis, to be frank. I think they want him up to speed, and I think they want him to be a part of this offense. They want him to take reps. And I'm going to throw this out there and see what you guys think about it. I was having this conversation with Jason Hirschhorn, both on air and off air. The Packers kept 7 receivers. And like I said, they won't even put 4 out there. I think they had a true 4 wide receiver set like 3 times against Minnesota. I wonder if this is a case where if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have 1. And maybe the problem is you have basically 5 C-level guys and your top guys, and that's it. And so it's just sort of hard to differentiate one from the other. Does that make sense to you?
I think that makes sense to me. I mean, because I honestly, outside of Montgomery, because I think, especially just the way that Montgomery plays all out on special teams, I don't know if I can honestly differentiate the rest of them, the other 3. You know?
Yeah, we haven't seen Trevor Davis.
Yeah, right.
But that's the thing that
I can differentiate Devontae Adams.
Yeah,
because he's the one dropping the ball.
Yeah, see, he's differentiatable. So I would put him like over somewhere else, and then I look at the other 6 wide receivers.
Right, sure. So that's what I'm saying. So the top 3 guys, the starters are the starters, and they're going to play 85-90% of the snaps. So beyond that, what do you have? And I think to me, you have 4 guys who are just guys. And I don't really know that that's true about Montgomery and Davis and potentially Janis. Frankly, I don't know why Jared Abbrederis is on this team, and that's going to hurt a lot of the feelings of Packer fans. And I understand that, but he's a dude. I think Montgomery was starting last year. He was playing useful snaps, and things like they ran the first play of the game in San Francisco for him, a go route where he beat the corner and just dropped the ball on what would have been probably a walk-in touchdown. So I don't know why Mike McCarthy and Edgar Bennett and those guys have decided that Ty Montgomery is not a useful player. I think he is. I don't know why he's not getting more of a chance. it really, a lot of the decisions from an offensive schematic point right now, I don't understand. I don't understand why you wouldn't just try more stuff. It seems like this offense looked pretty much the same in week 2 as it did in week 1, and I don't understand. Let's put 5 wide receivers out there for a play and just see what happens.
Yeah. I agree with what you say about Montgomery. I'd love to see him get a shot too, but I really do get a feeling that the Packers want Davis out there before him. And I think they're going to try to force that now that Davis has gotten healthy again. I think we'll see more of Davis and still less of Montgomery, which doesn't necessarily make sense to me, but oh well.
Well, if it means less of Aberderis, I'm okay with that. I think Trevor Davis is the kind of explosive player that this offense doesn't have. Even if Jordy gets to 90% of old Jordy, I don't know that he's going to be the kind of challenge you deep type player. Trevor Davis has the speed to do that. Yeah, and he has the speed to take, to do what Janis did in the preseason, to take a crosser for 6. He has that kind of open field running ability. He has that kind of speed. I mean, that the crosser, the vine that was going around the internet of the 3rd and 4 play where Rodgers bailed and then totally missed Trevor Davis open, that could have been a big play, because if you get him the ball in open space, that's where he's at his best. So that's the kind of thing, and this was a thing last year. I mean, you guys remember, why couldn't they have run Janis 5 snaps a game on a crosser or a fly route? Just throw one to him deep. We saw in Arizona. Oh, hey, he made a play or 2. Like, I don't understand why it takes everyone to be hurt for that to be the offense. I'm not saying throw Hail Marys every play, but Janis was a useful player in that game.
Yep. Mike McCarthy.
And I'm not a Janis truther either.
You're not.
Janis truther. I like that.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, listen, I'm going to take us over to the other side of the ball. I think we've done all we can with the offense and the wide receivers.
Yeah, I'm exhausted.
Exactly. We're getting tired here. Sorry to wear you out. This is supposed to be fun. All right, so let's go on the other side. A lot of people got on Demarious Randall over his performance in the Vikings game. And from my perspective, while he made some mistakes, I really felt on several occasions he thought he was passing Diggs off to some safety help, but didn't get the help he expected. So I don't quite blame him as much as a lot of people are. Where do you fall on his play Sunday night?
Well, look, he played great in week 1. And those are the kind of players that I think he's going to succeed against. I think he can handle physical receivers. He can handle speed. This is the Richard Sherman issue. When you're a big physical corner who likes to get interceptions, you're going to get beat a lot of times by smaller, quicker players. And I don't think we should undersell how good Stephon Diggs is. He's the best receiver in that division. And right now he's playing like the best receiver in the NFC, with all due respect to Des Bryant and Julio Jones. I think there were times when he had great coverage. The touchdown, he was in perfect position on that play. And Sam Bradford made an Aaron Rodgers-like throw. Both of the touchdown passes were good coverage. Morgan Burnett was on Rudolph. That was just a perfect throw. And sometimes that's going to happen. Part of the other problem was the linebackers were the 2 of the big plays to Diggs were off play action where the linebackers got sucked up and weren't able to get back into their zone. If Jake Ryan and Blake Martinez and Joe Thomas can hold their ground and read their keys effectively and get into their drops quicker, then they're in position to take away some of those throws or at least make them harder. We saw Michael Kendricks, who's an incredible player, and someone who I know a lot of Packer fans wanted in Green Bay at the time. He would get into those throwing lanes, and there were a couple times that he had almost a near interception on that sort of play. So part of it has to be on the linebackers. Ultimately, you give up 182 yards and a touchdown to a receiver. It can't be all on the cornerback because it takes a team to play defense. So Demarious Randall didn't play great. I think the matchup this week, Marvin Jones and Golden Tate, is the exact kind of matchup that Demarious Randall can really take advantage of.
Okay.
All right. We are talking with Peter Bukowski tonight here on Cheesehead Radio. Peter, I got one last one for you. Let's just stick with defense here. And let's have some positiveness. Let's be happy.
Let's do it.
Kumbaya here. You know, the big names, obviously we've talked about the offensive side of the ball, and big names, Eddie Lacy, Aaron Rodgers, Jordy Nelson, all going. It's just not good on offense. But very quietly, the Packers defense has put together the top rushing defense in the league. Now, you and I both know statistics lie, and that can very well be because teams can pass a little better chance of passing against them, so why rush the ball? But they're giving up the least rushes per attempt this year. So we got young linebackers. Secondary are playing okay. Mike Daniels, Joe Thomas, Morgan Burnett, alongside Clay Matthews, Julius Peppers, and we're doing okay. Can Dom get this defense together and get some of these holes in the secondary, which are kind of a concern, and really make this the true strength of the team this year?
Yeah, I think he can. And coming into this year, I was a little nervous, at least early in the season, about how the run defense would be without Mike Pennell. You have Kenny Clark, who's going to be out there having to play heavy snaps. And look, Kenny Clark at 21 has looked like an NFL potential force. He played very well, I thought, against Minnesota. He played pretty well against Jacksonville. He's going to be a very good player. Mike Daniels is a bad man. And he did some bad things to Brendan Fusco in that game. And look, Fusco is bad. Like, not the way that Mike Daniels is. Like, he's just a garbage football player. And so that's what Mike Daniels should do. But there aren't a lot of great interior play that we see around the league, really. I mean, offensive line is sort of a crisis right now in the league for a bunch of reasons. But Blake Martinez has played every bit to the hype that he had from the coaches and from reports out of training camp. I mean, he has looked outstanding. Jake Ryan, I think, has really shown why the coaches had faith enough in him to let Sam Barrington walk. And Joe Thomas, man, when did Joe Thomas become like a Pro Bowl player? Like, he's been everywhere for this defense. He's played well in coverage. He just, I don't know, he looks faster. He looks more instinctive. He just looks like a critical piece for a guy that I didn't think was going to make this team. And then you look at the safety play, Morgan Burnett, Clinton Dix, Micah Hyde, the flexibility they have at that position to play Morgan Burnett in the box and to still be in sort of a quasi-nickel package in that personnel grouping is just so. This is the team that Dom Capers wants. It's flexible. It's versatile. He's got a boatload of pass rushers. I mean, how impressed and how many great things can you say about what Nick Perry has done this year? I mean, Nick Perry has played like a first-round pick. Dayton Jones has played like a first-round pick. And Clay Matthews looks a lot more like the Clay Matthews we're used to seeing. So this defense can be very good. The front seven can cover up for whatever growing pains need to happen in the secondary because, look, Demarious Randall, this is his first time if Sam Shields is out again, to be the guy to face number one receivers. Quentin Rollins is playing a new position. Demarious Randall going to play in the slot too. So those are guys that you're going to have to count on. You're going to have to count on Ladarius Gunter, who I thought played pretty well against Minnesota after looking really not great against Jacksonville. He looked lost at times. There's going to be some growing pains in that secondary. You have to hope that Morgan Burnett and Clinton Dix can sort of hold down the fort there and let Peppers, Matthews, Perry, Jones, Daniels. I mean, I can't remember the last time the front seven in Green Bay was this good. Even if you go back to that 2010 team, this pass rush is better than that team. And you may have to go back to some of those Reggie White teams to look at times when they had pass rush all over the defense the way that they do on this team. It really is remarkable.
All right.
Those are bold words,
Mr.
Bukowski.
Is that a happy enough ending for you?
Yeah.
It was a happy ending, a hot take. It was everything. You name it.
Glad I could deliver, guys.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been talking with Mr. Peter Bukowski tonight on Cheesehead Radio. If you are not following him on Twitter, he is at Peter_Bukowski. Please look him up and give him a follow. And if you'd like to listen to him every week, he is on what is called the Too Deep NFL Podcast. You can check that out at toodeepnflpodcast.tumblr.com. It's a fantastic one. Subscribe over there at iTunes right after you subscribe to Packers Talk, please. But fantastic. Both Jason and Peter, we've had them both on the show, and just some fantastic personalities. Peter, thank you very, very much for joining us tonight here on Cheesehead Radio once again.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Hopefully we'll have you back soon and under better circumstances for the Packers.
Anytime, guys.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Peter.
Good night, Peter.
Good night.
All right.
Some good insight there.
Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's get to our final shots and maybe just our final discussion topics we'd like for the evening before we call it a night as we get to talking about the Lions game. Let's start with Jersey Al this week. Jersey Al, your final shot.
My final shot is I want to see some wide receivers, some of those 7 wide receivers on the roster getting a shot is my final shot. I want to see wide receivers 4, 5, and 6. I'm not sure if Janis is ready to play yet with his hand. I think the club is coming off, but I doubt if they would use him at wide receiver. So, I want to see me some Davis, some Montgomery, and yes, even some Abbrederis, even though Peter wasn't a big fan. I want to see those guys get a shot and just let's see something different, Let's show other teams something different. These guys have different skills. Let's use them. So that's my shot.
Technically, can't we play all 6 of them at once? I mean, we could put Cobb in as a wildcat and Abbrederis in as a running back. And why not? If you're going to have 7 wide receivers, why not put them all on the field at once, huh?
That would definitely be an interesting formation.
I think it would teach them a lesson on maybe not doing that anymore. I don't know.
Considering we can't get McCarthy to do some of the legal bump and run routes right now, I don't think we can get him to do any of that.
Shame.
Oh, definitely not. All right, final shot now, Miss Jayme Snowden.
Okay, mine's not technically about what I want to see from the game, but mine's just, does anyone actually care that the same ref who refs the Lions-Packers Hail Mary game is the ref for Sunday's game? Because ESPN or Bleacher Report, one of them, sends it out as the alert on my phone, and it says, breaking, all caps, Hail Mary ref to ref Sunday's game. Like, that's not news. How is that news? Does anyone care?
You have no idea how many times a day I say that. When I see some post somewhere on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, like, who cares, what? No, because it's breaking news,
I saw it so much, and I was looking for tweets
It gets
today.
me angry at times.
So many people are talking about this stupid ref. Like,
really? Wow, that was a real topic
just because
of discussion.
he happened to ref a fun game, a key game, and yeah, there was the face mask call, but like, okay, come on, guys. There's actual football to talk about.
Lion fans saying the fix is in or something, or
that, and I think just, Packers fans continually retweeting the story. I'm just like, how is this a story? How is anyone posting this? Anyone? So that's my final shot.
Okay.
It's a rabid fan base.
How about you?
Well, I think Michelle had a really nice retweet today from Mike Freeman. Been on the show a couple times, but a GM had told Mike Freeman that there is no other quarterback held to the standard he is. Not even Tom Brady. Now, to me, that's some pretty big words. I mean, Tom Brady is pretty much, he's this magical measuring stick for everything. When I say, Aaron Rodgers is getting a little bit older, he's past his prime. Well, Tom Brady has played really well, and he's like 48 years old. Well, okay, Tom Brady is not the rule. He is the exception to the rule, So he's he's the golden boy. But for a GM to say that Aaron Rodgers is held to a high standard, I don't know if it's necessary. Maybe it's a performance standard, but I don't think he's never been allowed, just because he followed Favre back in 2008 with all of the crisis that went with it. And he's lived up to this amazing reputation of being the guy who doesn't make the big mistake. He is the guy who is accurate on a pinpoint. We don't say those things about Tom Brady. He just goes out and wins games and usually cheats. But Aaron Rodgers is the squeaky clean, pure passer. And I don't know, do you guys agree that he has the highest standard, even over Tom Brady?
Held to the highest standard by who are they talking about? By fans? By his coaches? Because it makes a difference, at least to me, anyway.
Well, it's a GM that said it.
Right, but was he saying that he's held to the highest standard by fans? that we expect perfection out of him.
Michelle only had 140 characters. That's all I got.
Yeah. Okay. Well, in any case, then I can't really comment.
Okay.
I think that's just part of a Packer fandom thing, and maybe it is the whole coming after Favre thing. But he can't be mediocre for even a little bit without it being garbage. I mean, the amount of Hundley could not be worse comments on Sunday, which, yes, Sunday was a bad game, but the Hundley could not be worse. Aaron's average, he's never been great. All of these things, I'm just like, okay, it's not good right now, but this not good is not all the time not good. And yes, it's concerning it's been a year, but other people get better again. Other people, he was phenomenal. How do we forget that? And we do. And I think it's a Packer fan thing more than it's just, I think that's just the way that Packer fans are. If it's not 19-0, it's a failure. We're one-year wonders. Thanks, Ron Wolf.
So basically, 2 of our final shots have to do with Packer fans being way overly rabid.
And we're those
whether
people,
it be obsessing over anywhere doing a podcast, talking about them.
Yeah, so what did you do Wednesday night? Oh, I talked to people on the phone on the internet for a while. So, we're weird rabid fans too.
Exactly. All right, let's get to this week's game predictions.
Cheesehead Radio, Packers game predictions.
Well, DEFCON 5, the Green Bay Packers are 1-1, and actually looking up at the Minnesota Vikings in the standings. So how do we make it better? We bring Matthew Stafford and the Lions over to Lambeau Field. Hopefully it's a get better quick recipe for the Green Bay Packers. How do you guys see the game playing out? We'll start with Jayme Snowden.
Okay. I went back and forth. If anyone saw me typing in the script, I would type a score and then quickly delete it and sit there and think for a while. But I ended up typing 27-17. I don't necessarily know if that'll be my noon on Friday score. But the Packers will win. They will. I'm so glad this game is at home. If this was at Ford Field, I might be a little bit more nervous. But home opener, I think that will help. I think that the mood that Rodgers is in while being at home definitely gives some boost. Never really can trust Stafford on the road and without their running back, and the Lions they're just not a good team. So 27-17, Packers.
All right. We got one Packer win. Jersey Al Bracco, what do you say?
I say we have another Packers win. I've got it as Packers 33, Lions 17. I think this is the game that they break out of things a little bit. Rodgers will have a 100 passer rating game and break that streak. And Packers win fairly comfortably, 33-17.
My name is C.D. Angeli, and I'm going to say that this is going to be a rebound game. I don't think all the problems are going to be cleaned up as much as we would like or hope, but being home is going to feel good. I think Abdullah being out against our run defense is going to make Stafford throw. I disagree. I think the Lions are coming along. With Calvin Johnson gone, he's always been a security blanket, and that might be kind of a minus Sterling Sharp recipe for the Lions. They might have to put things together. However, I don't think they have enough to put it together right now. I don't think they're there in the maturity process. Packers are going to take this one. I'm going to say it's a low-scoring affair. It's probably going to be 17-14. Lions might score a late one to get it to that point, but I think the Packers are going to do just enough to hold the Lions at bay for the game.
All right.
All right.
Okay. Well, thank you all so much for joining us tonight. Thank you all so much for joining us tonight on Cheesehead Radio, and thank you to our special guest, Peter Bukowski. Make sure to head on over to PackersTalk.com, where you can explore several unique Packers podcasts. Be sure to follow @PackersTalkNet on Twitter and like the Packers Talk Network page on Facebook. Cheesehead Radio and all the Packers Talk podcasts are available on iTunes. Just Google Packers Talk iTunes, and you should find it. Be sure to subscribe, and please leave us a review, a good one, if you can. You can also listen in by using Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, or your favorite podcasting app, and search for Packers Talk. Finally, please be sure to support our sponsor, Ticket King, and you can find them on the web at ticketking.com. That's theticketking.com. That's a wrap. Go Pack Go.
Good night, all.
Go
Pack Go.
Jersey out. I love you doing that outro, but boy, Jayme
she's so much better. I agree.
She is way so much better.
All right, you don't have to say way, all right?
No, he can. He can say way. He can say way. Well, whatever.
All right.
Way better. All right.
Okay.
Talk to you next week on Cheesehead Radio. Until then, Go Pack Go. Good night, all.
Good night.
Go Pack Go.
I have a rather important announcement, and yes, it concerns Cheetos and chicken fries. Burger King has taken these two deliciously iconic snacks and have created Cheetos chicken fries. They're like original chicken fries made with white meat chicken, all juicy on the inside, but dangerously cheesy on the outside, and cooked to crispy perfection. It's like Burger King took the perfect snack and made the perfect snack. Try them now, or they'll be gone faster than an order at Cheetos chicken fries. New Cheetos chicken fries only at Burger King. Limited time only at